7 signs of a stupid woman. Are you wise or foolish? Are you a wise woman or a foolish one? Let's find out. My dear brothers and sisters, let me ask you a question. Have you ever looked at your life, your choices, your relationships, your actions, and wondered, am I walking in wisdom or am I being foolish? You see, foolishness is not about intelligence. It's not about how many degrees you have, how successful you appear, or how many people admire you. No, foolishness runs much deeper than that. It's a condition of the heart. And here's the hard truth. Many women, yes, even good women, are walking in foolishness without realizing it. The Bible tells us in Proverbs 14:1, "The wise woman builds her house, but the foolish one tears it down with her own hands." Think about that for a moment. A foolish woman destroys what she should be protecting. She ruins the very things she loves. And the worst part? Many times, she doesn't even see it happening. So today I ask you, are you building your life up or are you tearing it down? This message is not here to shame you. It's here to awaken you, to shake you up, to help you see what you might have been blind to. Because, my dear sisters, if you recognize even one of these 7 signs in yourself, then God is giving you a warning. He is saying, my daughter, wake up before it's too late. This is your chance. This is your moment to choose wisdom over foolishness. So, are you ready to open your heart? Are you ready to see the truth, even if it's uncomfortable? Then let's begin. Sign number 1. She rejects wisdom and advice. My dear sisters, let me tell you something that might be hard to hear. A foolish woman refuses to listen. She hears wisdom, but she ignores it. She is warned, but she refuses to change. She is given advice, but she does not take it. The Bible tells us in Proverbs 1-7, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction." Do you know someone like this? Or, be honest with yourself. Do you see this in yourself? Let me paint a picture for you. There's a young woman named Sarah. She's been in a toxic relationship for years. Her friends have warned her. Her mother has cried for her. Even strangers can see that this man does not love her, that he is using her, that he is leading her down a path of pain. But what does Sarah do? She says, "You don't understand. I love him. I know what I'm doing." And so, she stays. She suffers. And one day, she wakes up with nothing but regret. Or consider another example. A woman in her workplace is given guidance by her boss. "You're talented," he says, "but you need to work on your attitude. Be more humble, more open to feedback." What does she do? She rolls her eyes. She gets defensive. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And so, her career never grows. She stays stuck, not because she's not capable, but because she refuses to learn. My dear sisters, this is what foolishness looks like. It is a refusal to listen. A rejection of wisdom? A wise woman? She humbles herself. She listens. Even when the truth is hard to hear, she embraces it, because she knows that wisdom leads to growth. So let me ask you, do you reject good advice because of pride? When someone corrects you, do you get angry or do you reflect? Are you stubbornly holding on to something that everyone else can see is destroying you? The good news is this: wisdom is always available. It is knocking at your door, waiting for you to open. But only you can choose to listen. My prayer for you today: may you have the humility to hear wisdom, the courage to accept it, and the strength to change before it's too late. Sign number 2. She spreads gossip and sows discord. Now, my dear sisters, we need to talk about something that many people don't take seriously, but it is a poison that destroys lives. Gossip. Oh yes, the foolish woman loves gossip. She whispers behind closed doors. She spreads rumors like wildfire. She enjoys seeing people fall. The Bible warns us in Proverbs 11:13, "A gossip betrays a confidence, but a trustworthy person keeps a secret." But do we listen? Let me tell you a story. There was a woman in a small town named Maria. She had a habit. She loved to talk about others. When she heard a secret, she couldn't keep it. When she saw someone's weakness, she exposed it. One day, she spread a rumor about a young girl in her church. She didn't think it was a big deal. Just a little story. Just a little talk. But do you know what happened? That rumor destroyed the girl's reputation. It ruined her friendships. It made her feel worthless. And in the end, Maria never saw the full damage of her words, because foolish people don't see the destruction they leave behind. My dear sisters, listen to me. Gossip is not entertainment. It is evil. Tearing someone down with your words does not make you powerful. It makes you dangerous. A foolish woman destroys with her tongue. A wise woman protects with her silence. Ask yourself, when you hear something bad about someone, do you keep it to yourself, or do you run to tell others? Do you use your words to encourage or to destroy? If someone talked about you the way you talk about others, would you feel honored or humiliated? If you have been guilty of gossip, I want you to hear me. It is not too late to change. The next time you are tempted to spread a rumor, stop and ask yourself, does this glorify God? Does this build up, or does it tear down? Because, my dear sisters, a wise woman knows this truth. What you say about others reveals who you truly are. Let today be the day you choose wisdom over foolishness. Sign number 3. She seeks validation from the wrong places. My dear sisters, let me ask you, where do you find your worth? Do you measure it in the compliments of others? In the number of likes on social media? In the attention of men? A foolish woman is hungry for validation, but she looks for it in all the wrong places. The Bible tells us in Psalm 139:14, "I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made." But what happens when a woman does not believe this? When she does not see herself the way God sees her? She becomes desperate. She chases relationships, thinking a man will give her worth. She posts revealing pictures online, hoping strangers will tell her she's beautiful. She constantly needs approval because without it, she feels empty. But let me tell you a hard truth. No amount of attention will ever be enough if you do not know your own worth. Let me share a story. There was a young woman named Lisa. She was beautiful, intelligent, and kind. But deep inside, she didn't feel enough, so she sought validation. She dressed to impress, not because she loved herself, but because she needed approval. She dated men who didn't respect her, just to feel wanted. She lived for social media, hoping the right picture, the right angle, the right filter would make her feel loved. But no matter how much attention she got, it was never enough. Until one day she realized she had been looking for love in the wrong places all along. My dear sisters, let me tell you something important. A man cannot complete you. Social media cannot define you. The world cannot give you what only God can. So I ask you, do you find your value in God or in people's opinions? If no one praised you, would you still feel worthy? Are you seeking love from those who only want to use you? Listen to me, daughter of God. You do not need to prove your worth. You are already priceless. Stop chasing approval. Stop seeking love from people who do not see your value. God has already called you beautiful, worthy, and loved. Choose to walk in that truth today. Sign number 4. She is quick to anger and slow to forgive. Now, my dear sisters, let's talk about something that destroys more relationships than anything else. Anger and unforgiveness. The Bible tells us in James 1:19, everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. But a foolish woman does the opposite. She is quick to explode when something upsets her. She holds grudges like a weapon, refusing to let go. She believes that forgiveness is for weak people. But in truth, holding on to anger makes her the weakest of all. Let me tell you about Anna. Anna was the type of woman who never forgot a wrong. If you hurt her, she would make sure you suffered. She never forgave. She never let go. One day, her sister tried to apologize for a mistake she made years ago, but Anna refused to listen. "No," she said, "you hurt me, and I will never forgive you." Years passed. Her sister moved on. But Anna? She remained trapped in her bitterness. And that's what unforgiveness does, my dear sisters. It doesn't hold the other person prisoner. It holds you prisoner. Many women ruin their own peace because they refuse to let go. So I ask you, do you explode in anger over small things? Do you hold grudges, refusing to forgive? Do you let your emotions control your life? Listen to me. Anger is a fire. If you do not control it, it will burn everything around you, including yourself. A wise woman chooses peace over rage, love over resentment, and forgiveness over bitterness. If there is someone you need to forgive today, do not wait. Let it go, not for them, but for you. Because a woman who carries peace in her heart is more powerful than any woman who carries a grudge. Sign number 5. She neglects her responsibilities. My dear sisters, let me tell you something important. A foolish woman does not take care of what God has given her. She is careless with her time. She is reckless with her duties. She is lazy when she should be diligent. But a wise woman? She understands that everything in her life is a gift. Her family, her home, her work, her faith. And she does not take it for granted. The Bible tells us in Proverbs 31:27, she watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. But what does a foolish woman do? She neglects her family, prioritizing distractions over her loved ones. She abandons her duties, always making excuses instead of taking action. She wastes time, scrolling endlessly on her phone, gossiping, or chasing entertainment instead of being productive. Let me tell you a story. There was a woman named Emma. She had a loving husband, beautiful children, and a good job. But she had a habit. She was careless. She left tasks undone. She ignored her children's needs. She wasted time on things that did not matter. Her husband warned her. Her friends reminded her. But she said, "It's fine. I'll do it later." And one day, later never came. She lost the trust of her husband. She became distant from her children. Her career opportunities faded. And when she finally realized what had happened, it was too late to undo the damage. My dear sisters, let me ask you, are you being faithful with what God has placed in your hands? Are you present with your loved ones, or are you distracted by meaningless things? Are you using your time wisely, or are you wasting it? A foolish woman lets life slip through her fingers. But a wise woman values what she has before it's gone. Today, I challenge you. Take care of your responsibilities. Be faithful in the small things. Cherish the people in your life, because a woman who honors her duties will always be honored in return. Sign number 6. She lacks self-control. Now, my dear sisters, this is a hard truth, but one that must be said. A foolish woman is ruled by her desires. She does what she wants, when she wants, without thinking of the consequences. She follows her impulses, her cravings, her emotions, without wisdom, without restraint. But what does the Bible say? Proverbs 25:28 tells us, "Like a city whose walls are broken through is a person who lacks self-control." A woman with no self-control is vulnerable. She is like a house with no doors, a city with no walls. Anything can come in and destroy her. Let me give you some examples. A woman with no self-control in her words will say things she regrets and destroy relationships. A woman with no self-control in her spending will drown in debt and suffer financially. A woman with no self-control in her body will chase pleasure at the cost of her dignity. A woman with no self-control in her emotions will always be ruled by anxiety, anger, and fear. Let me tell you a story. There was a woman named Rachel. She was intelligent, kind, and had many opportunities in life. But she had one problem. She had no discipline. She spent money recklessly, always chasing luxury. She ate whatever she craved, neglecting her health. She let her emotions control her, making impulsive decisions that hurt her future. And in the end, her own lack of control destroyed her. She lost her savings. She lost her health. She lost good opportunities because she never learned discipline. My dear sisters, listen to me. Control your tongue, and you will keep your relationships strong. Control your spending, and you will build a secure future. Control your emotions, and you will walk in peace. Control your desires, and you will live with dignity. A foolish woman is a slave to her impulses. A wise woman, she masters them. So, I ask you today, are you controlling your desires, or are they controlling you? Because self-control is not a restriction, it is freedom. And a woman who walks in discipline is a woman who walks in power. Sign number 7. She rejects God and lives for herself. My dear sisters, we have come to the most dangerous sign of all. A foolish woman lives for herself and rejects God. She does what she wants, how she wants, without thinking of the consequences. She is led by her own desires, her own pride, her own will, never stopping to ask, what does God want for my life? But listen carefully to what the Bible says. Proverbs 14:1. The wise woman builds her house, but with her own hands, the foolish one tears hers down. A woman who rejects God is building a life that will one day collapse. She chooses temporary pleasure over eternal purpose. She chooses pride over humility. She chooses the world's approval over God's truth. Let me tell you a story. There was a woman named Sophia. She had everything: beauty, success, wealth. She lived exactly how she wanted. She didn't care about God. She didn't need Him. But one day, everything changed. She lost her job. She lost her friends. The things she trusted, money, success, status, were all gone in an instant. And for the first time in her life, she felt empty. That's when she realized she had built her life on the wrong foundation. My dear sisters, listen to me. If your life is built only on your desires, it will crumble. If your heart is far from God, you will always feel empty, no matter how much success you achieve. If you reject His wisdom, you are walking toward destruction. A foolish woman lives only for herself, and in the end, she finds herself alone. But a wise woman, she builds her life on God. She seeks His wisdom. She walks in His ways. So I ask you today, are you chasing the world and ignoring God? Have you made yourself the ruler of your own life instead of surrendering to Him? Are you living for pleasure instead of purpose? Because, my dear sisters, this is your wake-up call. If you have been walking without God, it is not too late to return. He is calling you back, and today you have a choice: to keep living for yourself, or to surrender to the one who truly knows what is best for you, because a life built on God will never be shaken. Conclusion. The call to wisdom. My dear sisters, we have walked through the 7 signs of a foolish woman, and now I must ask you, what will you do with what you have heard? Because wisdom is not just about knowing the truth, It is about choosing to live by it. A foolish woman ignores correction. A wise woman embraces it. A foolish woman stays the same. A wise woman chooses to change. So, my dear sisters, let this be your moment of reflection. Look at your life. Be honest with yourself. Do you reject wisdom and refuse advice? Do you gossip and tear others down? Do you seek validation from the wrong places? Today, you can make a new choice, a choice to walk in wisdom, a choice to change your ways,